I'm Andrew Smart, the Partnerships Director of BST Venues.
Okay, great. And Andrew, can you cast your mind back to when you first got introduced to Value Builder? How did that happen? And what was your journey like at the beginning there?
Um, I received a very well targeted email from yourself, funnily enough, actually, introducing the Built to Sell podcasts and a few little stories from that, of which I started listening to and very quickly became addicted to. And then I thought, I'm really into this. This is good. This is better. One of the best podcasts I'd ever heard, actually. Then I started clicking through on your email a little bit more and understanding how I could be helped. And obviously, it's introduced on the podcast that there are associates around the globe that will help people deliver the Value Builder program. And so, yeah, that's how it led me to a direct conversation with you rather than just an email.
Okay, great. And before you engaged in the Value Builder system, what were the kind of primary concerns and challenges you had around your company?
Um, we were we just pivoted from a previous offering, really. We started off as a lead generation and appointment setting agency as a B2B, and we did venue booking for charities kind of as a second service. Everything shut down during the pandemic, and we just had a really good, long, hard look at ourselves, really. And we decided to really go for the venue booking side of the business. And for the 2 years following the pandemic, it really took off. And prior to the pandemic, it was 20% of our business, but 2 years, 3 years later, it was 80%. So we decided to turn off the lead gen appointment setting part of the business. But effectively, it was a really new industry to us because we'd only had one client under a very tight exclusivity in that particular field. So it was really a new industry. And we just thought, right, okay, we have got a massive opportunity here. We're getting lots of sales, we're getting lots of new clients. But I think this time, and following a lot of the advice on the podcasts, etc., we need to build this business to sell it rather than just to operate, which I probably did before. So yeah, I think we were at that stage of just about to pivot, just on the cusp of pivoting. We thought, right, okay, let's get some external advice and some external eyes on this because it's effectively a new business, albeit we've been doing kind of operating within it and around it for a few years now. So.
Right. And can you think of any kind of specific examples where the Value Builder system, along with my consultations, have impacted the business, whether it's operational, financial performance, strategic planning? What do you feel's helped you the most? What really stands out in terms of usefulness for you over the last few months?
I think all of the above. I think, an external set of eyes on your business that can see the woods through the trees and understand where the value is in your business, but also to see what's restricting your growth. So I think as a generic kind of answer, I would say that is definitely really helpful, and especially as you've got lots of knowledge of other businesses, that we don't. So that's really useful. But I think the session on product and what we are selling, the product and service session and what's important, what's scalable, what's repeatable, what's, you know, I think that was really useful, because I think in my last business we were very we were a good business actually, but we ended up trying to do too many things for too many people. And I think when we started speaking with yourself, we were beginning to fall down that trap a little bit again. And I think you kept pulling us into, actually, no, you don't need to do that. That's not scalable, or it's going to suck up too much resource, or it's a new shiny thing. And it's just let's do the exercise where the value is, what's repeatable, what's easiest to deliver. So I think that was a good exercise in particular. But obviously, you know, drilling down on the numbers is always useful, and creating the discipline around that is, we need to be told sometimes, really. And you know it's easy to miss a budget, but you know, understanding the consequences of that or trying to prevent them is obviously something that needs to be said out loud sometimes, you know, and not to each other, you know.
Yeah. And I mean, I remember one of the modules that we did, recurring revenue, was something that excited both yourself and Louise as well, in terms of product, to actually be looking and realizing how important recurring revenue is to the business and the overall value.
Yeah, and I think we knew that, but there's an interesting debate on what's reoccurring, what's a rolling contract, you know, how the commercials work around that, how it's looked at externally if someone was looking in. So yeah, I think that was a really interesting session actually. We did get a lot out of that, and yeah, I'm sure it's changed the way we are thinking about certain products and services for sure. Yeah.
And I remember sort of reviewing the first module we did, where we were looking at the company vision, where you and I sat down and tried to kind of understand where we are now and where we want to be. How did you feel that set the scene for the rest of the kind of period that we've been working together?
Yeah, I did enjoy the vision section or module. Again, it's when you're in it and you're in the weeds and you're trying to, you know, grow a new company, which it effectively was. It's just sometimes hard to see the woods through the trees, really, and understand where you're going and what it looks like when it's finished. Is it ever finished? Or you know, what's important for others and how they are perceiving you, and are you living and breathing those values and that vision? So we had a good session on that, and actually I'm not sure whether Louise mentioned it, but we're doing more work on that now, on our purpose. So it's not just that kind of vision, it's, you know, and it's not just the purpose, it's what's our social purpose actually. And that is something that we've lived and breathed as a business. We now work across the kind of charity industry, although not directly for charities, but we know that we need to promote or you know, talk more about our company culture, being supportive and flexible work, and creating opportunities for people that need to work part-time and still get promoted. And so this is something that we've done from day one in 2007, before it became fashionable, but now it's more fashionable than ever. But actually a lot of people are trying to create a purpose retrospectively, whereas ours was there from day one. That was part of the reason why I set it up. Yeah, so we've been doing a bit of work on that recently, and I think that's going to be something that's really valuable, actually, certainly to the charities, certainly to our customers, but actually it's a good reminder of why you're doing what you're doing. It helps you attract the right employees, but of course it helps you attract the right customers as well. So and sometimes, you know, I know we had several conversations about whether it is the right customer. Are they going to do they fit your values? Do they fit your vision? Do they fit your purpose? And you know, we often have to have difficult conversations to decline these people or resign them if they haven't turned that way. So I think that's always a good reminder, and I did think we had a good session on that, actually.
Yeah, yeah. And it kind of followed on, because that then led to conversations around sales and marketing processes, and that then again reflecting your values and those products that you see as a future for yourselves.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think you know, I think we were working monthly, and I think, I'm sure you won't mind me saying this, we've asked you to pause for 1 or 2 months because we know we've got a lot of work to get up to before we go on to the next module, and I think that flexibility that you're offering us actually reflects actually how we work and all that. But it's appreciated because there's a lot of work to do in these kind of sessions, and it's not, you know, it's not a small task really to change the vision of your business or create a purpose or change your sales and marketing and change your, you know, these are big jobs that take a lot of thinking, and sometimes you just need the right person to ask the right questions, and then you've got to let them land for a few days before you then start to visit, and then you think, right, crikey, this is going to create a lot of work. And I think we actually said to you, look, we need to pause this for 2 months, I think it is, because we've got a lot of work to do. And I'm pleased to say that, you know, we're almost ready to come back already, because we've, you know, that work's coming to an end now. We've, you know, enhanced our website. I think you know, advised us to put more of ourselves on the website. It's very much an animated website, so we've been doing that. We did more. We've done lots of interviews with the staff, why they chose us, why they're here, and all that. So actually, I think that's going to be quite a significant change in how the website even looked when we first started working together, really. So, you know, I think that was a good, valuable piece of work. But sometimes you just need that. You can't see the woods through the trees, and you need that external person pointing out the obvious sometimes, really, or not so obvious, you know. So
And obviously bringing these changes in, sometimes it's led to a situation where, you know, while you're transitioning, there's a certain amount of firefighting that needs to be done in order to get from A to B. How useful did you find having this avenue to be able to kind of discuss these things and make sure that we're continuing in the right direction? How did you
well,
find it?
I'm the business founder. I now have an MD, Louise, and there was a couple of situations I remember we just didn't agree on what we were going to do, and I didn't want it to default that because I'm the founder that it was my way, and I'm, you know, I want Louise to have her opinion. But there was a couple of issues that we were literally locked on, and again, having that third party or in there asking the right questions helped us both have a different perspective on what we were looking at. So yeah, I definitely think that that was really useful, actually, because yeah, when you're only answerable to yourselves, really, you can often take the door of least resistance, or you can take the one where the opportunity feels like it is, but sometimes you need, I think the most valuable thing that you offer is a nice, calm, professional questioning skill, and just you kind of sit back and let us have it out between us sometimes, with every now and again asking the right questions. So that's certainly something that we really value that you bring, Zach. So
Great. And just for you personally, how's your understanding of your company value evolved since you've been part of this process, and how has it impacted your decision making and long-term vision?
Well, I did, as I mentioned before, get a lot of value, and I still do, from the Built to Sell podcast. So it's nice to be able to put that in practice with somebody that's completely bought into that process and kind of scheme too. How's it changed how I think? I just am now concentrating solely on what's going to be scalable, what's going to be a repeatable process, what's going to be easy for staff to sell, what's going to be least complicated to scale. And I think that those kind of things really are certainly are driven home by yourselves, and this whole process really, that you've got to simplify your business. You might not be selling all the sexy stuff sometimes, but you've got to find the stuff that's repeatable, scalable, and that and that isn't difficult for people to deliver, isn't difficult for new employees to pick up, because we certainly had a problem with that before, really. We tried several recruits who weren't from our industry, and they just didn't get it. And maybe it was the way we brought them in, but we then took the opinion that we needed to home grow our senior leaders, because that's what had happened in the past. But I remember us having a debate. Well, that's not right, because again, that's not particularly scalable. You need to be able to create roles that anyone can pick up with the right attitude or aptitude even, but without the experience of your industry. You've got to be able to create that kind of role, or that instruction manual that someone can pick up and digest it. And if you can't do that, you can't scale your business.
Yeah. And I feel one of the most valuable skills that I offer is that primarily, I deal in M&A transactions. So ultimately, I hope to be the person that sells your company when you do decide to sell it. How useful is it for you to have somebody like myself on board so early on in your journey? And how useful do you think that will be when we actually go to market? Somebody that has a real kind of in-depth understanding and has lived it with you almost.
I think that's the main value, really. If I was to say one thing, we've had business coaches, we've had consultants before, and they're all very useful, but it takes a while for somebody to get to know your business, and they can have minimal impact over a couple of months. But this is we see this as a journey, and that you're on with us at the start. And I think you made a really good point when we last spoke, that because I asked you what happens at the end of this program, and you said, well, that quite often we start again. We might go through this 2 or 3 times over 2 or 3 years potentially, but every time you go through it, it's because you're bigger, it's because you're accelerating faster, it's because your processes improve. So what's the next thing? It's like this highly sophisticated car, of a sports car or something, that needs tweaking. This engine needs tuning each time, and I think when you start to look at it like that you're not here to fix something in a couple of months. This is an ongoing process, really. And I like that. I think we've got good chemistry as well. I think that's really important, by the way. I think you're easy to talk to. You're a good listener, but you're bringing that external M&A experience into the conversation about previous deals you've been involved in or witnessed, and having that in the conversation just doesn't become about coaching necessarily and how to improve your business. It's about improving your business, but also how it's going to be viewed externally, you know. And I think that's, you know, just things like, you know, get pre-diligence, and, you know, it's getting all that lined up, because that, you know, on those podcasts, that's the bit where people fall down the most. They haven't got everything in order, and suddenly they get a knock on the door and it might fall over because they've just got to go back 3 years trying to get everything organized. And it's funny, actually. We chatted to an accountant yesterday. He was introducing a dashboard for the business, a KPI dashboard. So I said, oh, that's exactly what we've been talking to Zach about. We need one of these. Anyway, one of the things he did say actually was, I can't believe the level of sophistication that your business is in right now. You know, we turn over just over $1 million. You know, it's quite good margin work. We want to get to 2 or 3 or 5. We're not quite sure yet. We haven't really nailed that. But he said, you're already talking like a 10 million business. He said that the things that you are talking about and the level of sophistication, it's blowing me away. He said, we're probably too big, but you need to come back to me in a you know, when someone knocks on your door, because everything you're doing is going to make a really valuable company. You're automating, you're bringing in software, you're looking at new markets, you're looking at different customer profiles. He said, companies of your size just don't talk like that. So I think that was really good to know, because we often beat ourselves up on progress, and we sometimes feel we're walking through treacle and stuck in the weeds a little bit. But it's not until you have external people come and talk to you, they're like, wow, you're doing some really good stuff here. And getting the foundations right, making it scalable. And I heard a really good expression the other day. We're all concentrating on trying to get our business to run without us. But I heard somebody else say, that's fine, but you want your business to grow without you, not just run without you, but to grow without you. So, you know, all these processes and automation that we're working on you with, and, you know, that they are exactly for that. So
Right.
that, you know.
Just one final question, Andrew. If somebody's sitting there and they're contemplating whether or not to use my services and to use the Value Builder system to either get their business ready to sell or to grow it to get it ready to sell, what would your advice be to them from your experiences?
Do it. I think Zach will be flexible in how much time you have available to do this. Could be 3 months, it could be 12 months that you work together. I'm sure there's lots of different options for you, but he will run at your speed. But you've got someone else on the sidelines that's looking out for your business, that will know your business and is the eyes and ears of your business externally. Really, it's a no-brainer. Honestly, I wouldn't agree to do this to be polite. I'd only do this if we were getting some real value from it. So yeah, definitely do it.
Okay. All right, fantastic, great. Thank you very much, Andrew. I really appreciate that.